nigga. Get ready.
Hello there, everybody, and welcome to episode 15 of the Play to Win podcast. My name is Tyler. I am your host this week because I am once again joined by no one this week. Keiran is still out sick. He's feeling a bit better than he was last week, but still not at 100%. Still not in, the space where, you can come on the podcast and chat a bunch and all like that. Chat for about an hour or so. So, with that being the case, he's still out. I'm in. I'm just gonna, do a solo this week. That way we still get stuff coming on out because, there was news this week. There was some pretty big news this week, which we will get into in just a moment because this is the Play to Win podcast, a show where we break down the week's biggest gaming news through some in-depth discussions. This is episode 15 of the Play to Win podcast. If you have not seen any other episodes, my words are getting all mixed up, of the Play to Win podcast, go check out our YouTube channel. Go subscribe to the channel, go like the videos over there, go watch the other videos, our other podcast episodes, all that stuff. In addition to podcast episodes, we also put out other videos on Fridays. This past Friday, we didn't put out a video. I was planning to do a recap video for the State of Play. I actually recorded it, but for my computer programs were not cooperating with me, so I just wasn't able to get a video out this past Friday. But our Friday videos consist of things like reviews for games. We have the Persona 5 Strikers review and Returnal review that I've done. We'll do previews sometimes. Keiran did a Dreamscaper preview during E3. I did a Knockout City preview back in April during the beta. Sometimes it'll be commentary type stuff, different little things we do, fun little stuff that we do for our Friday videos. So check those out. Also, turn on the notification bell. That way you are one of the first ones to know when videos go live. All that good jazz. Same stuff that applies to the YouTube channel applies to podcast services. Subscribe, rate, comment, like, all that stuff on podcast services because it helps out a lot. And share the show with anybody and everybody. It's all greatly appreciated. If you want to know more and keep up to date with us, follow us over on Twitter and Instagram at Play2WinGame, where we post updates about the show, different little things like production type updates, back end updates, and also sometimes we'll tweet out fun stuff. If you follow the Twitter, you will have known that the reason, we've known why there was no Friday video this past week, and so on and so forth. So that's all the housekeeping stuff out the way. Just, subscribe to all the platforms, follow us on all the platforms, like and share all the stuff. It's all greatly, greatly appreciated. With all that being said, though, we are going to start getting into this episode. In today's episode, on episode 15 of the Play to Win podcast, we are going to be talking about the Switch OLED model, the Assassin's Creed Infinity news that came out this week, and we will wrap things up by recapping this past week's State of Play. So, those are our three big topics for the week. But before we get into those topics, we do have a couple brief mentions to go over. One of them is one that I meant to have as an actual story last week, but I completely forgot about it. So I apologize if you were expecting it to be talked about on the show. It slipped my mind. I can't believe I forgot about it. It is that Bloober team, the developers behind the Medium, Layers of Fear, they partnered with Konami. They entered a partnership with them, and I'm reading this article here from VGC, written by Chris Scullion, saying here Konami and Bloober team have signed a new strategic cooperation agreement that will see the companies create games together. The new partnership between the Silent Hill publisher and the Medium developer will include, quote, jointly developing selected contents and exchanging know-how, end quote, according to a statement released by Bloober team. And in a separate press release, Konami said it was, quote, excited to work with Bloober team and other highly regarded development partners to produce games from existing and new IPs, end quote. According to people with knowledge of Bloober's plans, one of the projects it's working on is Silent Hill, but according to VGC, as they've heard in the past, I think we talked about it in the past here on the show, Konami has kind of outsourced Silent Hill projects to not just a Bloober team potentially, but another Japanese developer. So if Bloober team is actually working on Silent Hill, they're not the only ones working on a Silent Hill game. It's been rumored for a very long time, teased, I guess you could say, hinted at, that Bloober might be working on a new Silent Hill game with Konami. This was rumored months ago. There was a Game Industry.biz interview that happened with one of the people over at Bloober Team, and in it he was saying that that they're working with a very popular, very well esteemed publisher on a big game that might surprise a lot of people. So after they said that, people started thinking, is it Silent Hill? What's going to happen? So this is kind of adding fuel to the fire. My thoughts on it, I kind of am on the let's wait and see fence, because I've never played any of Bloober's games, but I know the medium kind of was like kind of like a reception. So I'm not a Silent Hill fan either per se. Like, I've never really played any Silent Hill games. I know the legacy behind it and all like that, and it's been a while since one came out, so people want the series to come back in a really good way, in a big way. Hopefully, if Bloober Team is working on a Silent Hill game, hopefully it is up to the standards that people want from a Silent Hill game and would expect. But we'll just have to wait to see what happens with this, when we get more information about this from either Bloober or Konami, when we actually see something. Who knows when it's going to be. But that was big news. I meant to talk about it last week. I apologize if you expected it last week and it didn't appear. I made sure we got it in here at least this week for sure. Second brief mention. Xbox made a 90s R&B music video for Xbox All Access featuring the R&B group All For One. I didn't watch it. I meant to watch it this week, but I saw it on Twitter when it first went up on, I believe it was Monday this week. Monday or Tuesday. I think it was Tuesday this week, actually. And I was just like, what the hell? Like, what is this? What are they doing? Not in a bad way. I think it's just really funny and hilarious that Microsoft went, all out, got All For One to make a music video for Xbox All Access. It's very funny, and I like what Microsoft's been doing with their marketing lately, just having a bit more fun, being more lighthearted and stuff with their marketing. It's really cool. So if you ever watched it, go check it out. I still need to check it out myself. I keep forgetting about it, just busy week, busy times, and all like that. So that's cool. DICE LA is now its own studio, and it's called Ripple Effect. The general manager is Christian Grass. The studio is also being managed by Respawn's founder, Vince Zampella. We don't know much about what they're doing right now, but we do know that they are working on a player-inspired experience for Battlefield 2042, and they are also working on an unannounced project. What either of these things really is, we don't know. The Battlefield 2042 thing, I believe they said we'll learn more about it at EA Play and later on this month. Don't quote me on that. I think that's what they said. But if not, I would imagine we'll hear about it soon. As for the unannounced project, that's a bigger question. Who knows when we'll hear about that or what it even is. But it's awesome, new studio over there. They're finally able to, branch out and be their own thing, not just I guess you could say like a subsidiary of DICE or anything. They're now their own team, they have their own name, own people, everything. So good for them. Looking for whatever they put out next. All right, third brief mention here. Nope, actually fourth brief mention. My mistake. We got the PlayStation Now games for July announced, and got some pretty big names here. Kicking it off is Red Dead Redemption 2. And all these PlayStation Now games are available as of now. Red Dead Redemption 2 joins PlayStation Now, and it's available until November 1st of this year, only through PS4 and PS5 downloading. This is not one you can stream. You can only do it PS4, PS5 download. Very, very interesting on that one. But that's on PlayStation Now. We got Neo 2, Moving Out, God of War is back, Judgment is available now on PlayStation Now until October 4th, 2021. And then Olympic Games Tokyo 2020 and NASCAR Heat 5, all of these are now in PlayStation Now. Some of them have dates. I set the dates for those. I think it's a nice set of PlayStation Now games for this month, and I'm not even gonna lie, when I saw the games that were announced, I almost subscribed to PlayStation Now just to be like, you know what, I want to play Judgment, let me go ahead and play Judgment, let me see what else is in the library. I almost did, but I didn't. I kind of held off on doing it. I kind of want to see what other games I got to just do some more research into what's on PlayStation Now right now. But it looks like a fantastic month coming up for PlayStation Now. Speaking of subscription services and games coming to them, we know what's coming to Xbox Game Pass in July, or at least we know some more games. I think we might have gotten some already announced, but we're getting some more announced now, I think. So Coming July 8th to the cloud is Dragon Quest Builders 2. Also July 8th to cloud, console, and PC is Tropico 6. Coming to console through EA Play is UFC 4 on July 8th. And then Bloodroots to cloud, console, and PC on July 15th. My mistake. Farming Simulator 19, cloud, console, and PC on July 15th. And then The Medium comes to the cloud on July 15th as well. And then as for games leaving Game Pass in July, or leaving soon, we have on July 14th, leaving EA Play, we have EA Sports UFC and UFC 2, both for console. And then July 15th, Endless Space 2 for PC, Downwell for PC, and then Crosscode for cloud, console, and PC. Those will be leaving Game Pass on the 15th. So if you have not played those games yet, now is your chance to jump in and get on them for free, as long as you subscribe to Game Pass, of course. A couple more here to get through. Pretty easy ones to get through, though. Destiny 2 Showcase was announced for August 24th. We don't have any more information aside from that. Just an image with a T saying "Survive the Truth," and I believe this is teasing what is called the Witch Queen, that expansion, or I think that might have been the tentative title. I know it was the official title at some point, but they may have changed that title. But I believe it's teasing that because the background of the image, like, it had like the Hive logo and all like that. So we don't know anything else about this showcase or what's going to happen, but we can expect to hear something about the Witch Queen at this showcase, and that's very exciting for Destiny 2 and Destiny 2 fans. I've been wanting to jump back into the game ever since Beyond Light got announced. I just have not, because time, and honestly, I don't think it's going to happen, unfortunately. But this is awesome. Sounds like, cool stuff coming down the line for Destiny 2. Now for GTA news, we got some bit of GTA stuff here. GTA 6 is reportedly not releasing until 2024 or 2025, and this is according to an insider named Tom Henderson. And his insider report knowledge has been backed by Jason Schreier and VGC sources, so this is all seeming very legit. And he says that GTA 6 is set in a modern-day Vice City with an ever-evolving and expanding map. So whatever the map is on day one, it's not going to be like that, a year or two in after the game releases. So the construction building in GTA 5, how that's still a construction, still under construction all these years later, it's, we won't be seeing something like that with GTA 6. Who knows when we'll actually see or hear more about this game, anything official. Probably not for some time, though, because if I'm right, Rockstar is kind of, they're being better about their crunch, and they're not making their employees crunch, which is why it's taking this game so long to come out, and that's all well and good. I imagine we probably won't hear anything official or see anything for this game until 2022 at the very earliest. I think 2023 is a bit more likely, though. So, bit of a wait, but I'm perfectly fine with it. Let's see. We got a bit of news about Contraband, the new game that's in development over at Avalanche Studios, the team behind Just Cause, that series. And they're, making Contraband in partnership with Xbox. And they did an interview with GamesIndustry.biz, and in that interview, they explained that the reason that the game is being made in partnership with Xbox is mostly because of Game Pass. I don't have any quotes here from it. I just thought it was an interesting little piece of information. If you want to go read the interview, it's a cool interview. It's a nice interview. Go check out GamesIndustry.biz for all the details and stuff. And then our final brief mention here is we got a Final Fantasy 16 development update. It happened during a Final Fantasy 14 live letter from the producer stream. And in this update, we got the news that the main story is complete. English voice recording is almost done. Development's going well, but the game may not appear at Tokyo Game Show in September. That's a may not. Not a definite no, not a definite yes. It's maybe. We'll see. But the producer, Naoki Yoshida, implied that the next announcement/reveal of the game will be followed closely by the game's release date. He said he wants to have the next bit of news that comes with it be followed by, hey, you can buy it pretty soon after. You'll know when the game's coming soon after. So we'll see what happens with that. And also, the next reveal for Final Fantasy 16 is aiming to show off the game's battle system and some other things that have not been revealed yet. Very exciting stuff. I'm really looking forward to 16. I know some people were hoping it would be in the state of play this past week. I was hoping for as well, but I was not expecting it at all because I kind of went into expecting we're not getting any major, giant, big games out of this aside from Deathloop. We'll talk about that later. So yeah, I'm expecting the next time we see this will probably be at maybe a bigger PlayStation event, or unless Square decides to just do something for 16 on its own. Who knows? We'll see. But hopefully when we do, we get some cool stuff and some big, big news. That will be all for our brief mentions, though, and now we will get into our actual news stories, our main topics of the show. The first of which being the Nintendo Switch OLED Model's announcement. Now, this is not the Nintendo Switch Pro that everybody was hoping for, expecting to be announced. It was rumored for such a long time. This is not that. At least not entirely that. It has bits and pieces of what the Switch Pro was supposed to be, but not everything. So, the Nintendo Switch OLED model, it costs $349, $349.99, so basically $350. It has a 7-inch OLED screen. It has thinner bezels as well, because it has this large screen. It has a new kickstand in the back, so instead of the little tiny flimsy one, we now have the kickstand takes up the entire back of the Switch, much wider, and it's way more flexible, allowing you to basically kind of have it, looks like almost flat at a certain angle, whatever angle you want. It comes with 64 gigs of internal storage, double what's already in there, but I mean that's still not a whole lot in this day and age, to be honest. And it has an Ethernet port built into the dock. It comes with better speakers, but here's the but. Nothing else about this is different. All of the internals for the Switch OLED are the same. Well, the performance-related internals are the same as the current Switch and Switch Lite. So it's still a 720p screen. It's still 1080p resolution when docked. There is no better CPU or RAM or new chips on the inside. None of that. The performance is the exact same as the current Switches that are out there. So, with all this being said, when this got announced, people were like, oh yeah, OLED. And they were like, wait a second, hold on, nothing's different about this. It's just the OLED and as the main big thing for this. And I guess you could say the Ethernet dock. And then that's when the disappointment and anger set in. People were upset, people were annoyed, wondering, what the heck? Where's the Switch Pro? Is this the Switch Pro? What about all the rumors? What about all the reports and rumors that we heard? Everything was saying that the Switch Pro was going to be announced before E3, and then it was like that didn't happen. But the Switch Pro was going to be able to output 4K when docked, and it was going to have NVIDIA DLSS in it. And it was going to, just run games better and all like that. What happened to that? What's this? What's going on here? How do we get lied to? Where do things go wrong? And I can understand some of the disappointment. I don't think anyone should be angry at reputable sources like Bloomberg, for example, where they kind of put out the report saying, yeah, this is what we're hearing, this is what's happening, so on and so forth, and only half of it kind of came true. We don't need to go blame hating on Bloomberg and their reporters and saying that the journalists can't be trusted. This is why we can't trust games media, game journalists, and so on and so forth. That's not the approach anyone should be having. If you're disappointed that only some of the reports were true, not the bigger ones that people were actually hoping for, that's fine. That's acceptable to be disappointed by. But we don't need to be angry at the reporters who gave us that news beforehand, or even Nintendo for something that they never said was happening or coming at all. So that's that. Now, what do I think of the OLED model? I think that this is not for everyone. It is definitely not for everyone. This is meant for the people it's meant for two groups of people. I guess you could say three, but mainly two groups of people. It is meant for number one, the people who do not have a Switch. If you don't have a Switch, this is the Switch for you to get. It has assuming you could afford it, of course. It has the way better screen, much bigger screen, the vastly improved kickstand, an Ethernet port in the dock, the better internal storage, better speakers. This is the Switch for you to get. This is the one that you should buy if you are getting a Switch and you don't have one yet. It's also aimed at, too, the people who mainly play their Switch handheld and have the original Switch. If you have the original OG launch Switch, which has the worse battery than the new model of the original Switch, not the older one, but the revamped model that kind of came out, I believe it was in 2019. Yeah, 2019, because I got mine at the end of 2018 and it wasn't the new model. So 2019, that model, if you have the original OG Switch, that battery is worse than the 2019 version, and you mainly play your Switch handheld, this is the one for you to get. Saying, hey, upgrade to this. You'll get the better battery. You mainly play in handheld anyway, so you'll get a much better screen. You'll have you'll have more space on the inside. You'll have a much better kickstand. It's aimed at those people as well, the people that mainly play handheld. I don't think I would say maybe it's aimed at the people as well who, have the Switch Lite. But I think if you have the Switch Lite, you're not planning on docking your Switch at all. So maybe, that benefit of the OLED Switch is a few. But hey, it could be aimed at them as well. So mainly it's aimed at two people. I'll repeat again. One, the people who don't have a Switch at all. And two, those who either mainly play handheld or have the OG Switch. This is who it's aimed at. This is not really aimed at those who have the newer model of the Switch and we're like, okay, well, it's like if you have a newer model Switch or you just mainly play your Switch dock, this isn't for you. The benefits for this are the screen. That is the benefit for this. Yeah, it has the Ethernet port in the dock, but you could buy the dock separately. So you don't need to buy this to get that dock. Like, this is mainly for those who play their Switch handheld. And if you fit that demographic, then, and if you think this is worth the money for you, then by all means, go ahead and buy it. If it's not, like me, I probably am not going to be getting this at all. Because, I don't really play my Switch docked. I prefer to play, I don't play it handheld that much. I prefer to play it docked. Not to say I don't play it handheld, but I prefer to play it docked. And also, I'm perfectly fine with the way my screen is, the LCD screen. It's totally fine. OLED is cool and all like that, but that's not really going to be enough to push the needle for me to drop, $350 on a brand new Switch. Now, if it was like, the better performance type Switch that everyone was hoping for, the Switch Pro that everyone wanted, be a different story. Then it's like, oh, okay, this is for anyone and everyone, whether you have a Switch or you don't have a Switch. This is the one for you to get. Like, if you have a Switch, here's the reason for you to upgrade to it and get much better performance. But this is not that. It's really just the screen that's the big draw here. That is the main pull for you to get the OLED model. And there's nothing wrong with, having the OLED screen. People have wanted to switch with the OLED screen for a while. I get that. But it is disappointing for sure. It is definitely disappointing that the Switch Pro is seemingly not happening now. I'm not going to say it's not real, but it's not happening now. Especially because, some games recently on the Switch have been having performance troubles. They haven't been able to keep solid frame rates. The frame rates have been tanking on them. And in an age where, games are getting a bit more, I don't want to say a bit more demanding, but I guess we could say, a bit more demanding on the Switch. The Switch definitely just needs better hardware to be able to, run these games at a solid state, at a solid frame rate, So I think that's a nice segue into the question I have here. That being, do we think a Switch Pro is going to happen at some point, possibly next year? Or that the next version of the Switch is just a brand new console? And I'm of the mindset that I think a Switch Pro is still happening. And I think that if it does happen, it will be next year. Because Nintendo has said that they see the Switch as being like in the midpoint of its lifetime. And with the Switch already having problems with, not running games, but like having games keep good frame rates, playable frame rates right now, I don't see how they can go another, let's say, 3 years without upgrading the Switch in some way, shape, or form, And I'm sure that they don't want to split their player base by saying, hey, here's the, better performing Switch. And then shortly after that say, here's the brand new Switch. And I'm sure they don't want to, but at a certain point, I'm sure Nintendo has to realize that the current Switch is just barely cutting it for some of their games, whether it be first party or third party, is just barely making the cut, and something has to give at a certain point. And if they see the Switch as being at the midpoint of its lifetime right now, I think a Switch Pro next year would just make the most sense. That'd be the move that makes the most sense. You know, people have been predicting, it'll launch alongside Breath of the Wild, the sequel to that. So people kind of saying, it depends on whenever Breath of the Wild comes, that's when that's coming. And then it looks like Breath of the Wild, the sequel, that'll be coming next year. You know, so ideally next year is what they're saying. So the Switch Pro could still launch alongside Breath of the Wild's sequel next year. Like, that could very well still happen. And I'm sure that's probably part of their plan, because Breath of the Wild, the original, I remember, it does have frame rate problems on the current Switch in certain areas. With the sequel, I imagine they want to have a platform where that's ironed out as much as possible, where you get the best Zelda experience, and that'll be on the Switch Pro, in whatever form that takes. So I think it's still coming. I think it's coming next year. I don't think that we will be going another 3-4 years without some sort of upgrade before we get like a brand new Switch console, because I think that would be pushing things a bit too far for the current Switch. I don't think the current Switch would make it that long before games are just like dying on the console, just like clinging on for dear life to the hardware, trying to just to manage somehow on it. So those are my thoughts on it. Those are my thoughts on the Switch OLED model. It's not what everyone was hoping for. It's not what everyone wanted. It's not for everyone, and that's perfectly fine. Not everything needs to be for everyone. The Switch OLED is for certain people, and if you fit into that category, cool. Also, if you're someone who just feels like, I need every Nintendo console no matter what it is, then this is also for you too. You're just going to go ahead and buy it anyway, regardless. And I'm sure there are people who are like, man, I don't want that. This isn't what I wanted, but that screen though. And they're just going to buy it anyway because you're like, you know what, the screen is fine enough, I guess. So yeah, it's fine. It wasn't the jaw-dropping announcement that everyone was expecting or anticipating, but I think that announcement is still going to come at some point down the line. And also, real quickly, actually, I saw some people saying this, which is a good point. Nintendo has the Ethernet port built into the dock, and finally, it's annoying that you had to buy a separate adapter for the current Switch now, but I saw someone, or at least some people, say online that this could be Nintendo's way of kind of trying to, I guess, future-proof or show like some of the increased focus on having major AAA games be playable on the Switch through the cloud. Because we've seen that in the past with some games. We had Control and Hitman 3 playable on the Switch through the cloud. This year we have Guardians of the Galaxy being made available on the Switch through the cloud. And of course, if you're doing cloud streaming, you're going to want the best internet. The Wi-Fi on the Switch is not that great. So having a LAN will be the best way to do that, like an Ethernet connection. That would be the best way to do that. Building it right into the dock ensures that everybody can do that for 100%. So I think that's also a good point, that it could be them saying, hey, like, we're going to be doubling down on getting more AAA games cloud-based, playable on the Switch for our players. And if so, that's a cool move. That's a good move for sure. Is it the same as being able to play natively without the cloud? No, of course not. But I mean, it's an option. It's something. And having it as an option and showing that you are committed to going down that route, it's a great move. It's a great sign. So there's that. Those are all my final thoughts on the Switch OLED model. Yeah. Well, it comes out, I forgot to also mention this, it comes out October 8th, the same day as Metroid Dread. So it'll have a nice, cool game to show off on it when it releases later this year. I like the white look of it, the white and black. It looks nice. But it'll also be available in red and blue as well. So that's it for the Switch OLED. Fingers, I won't say fingers crossed, but now people begin to count down again to when we hear about the real Switch Pro. Okay, so now we are going to move into our second story, that being Assassin's Creed Infinity. So when this first got reported on by Bloomberg, and within the hour, I'd say even less than an hour, it was definitely less than an hour, maybe even less than half an hour after Bloomberg reported on this, Ubisoft officially announced Assassin's Creed Infinity. And I'm going to read their part of what they say in their blog post here. Because their blog post, it's more so talking about, it doesn't really talk about the game that much, but it talks about some other like behind the scenes things. But you'll see what I mean in a second. So, their blog post here is titled, An Update on Assassin's Creed Infinity and the Future of the Assassin's Creed Franchise. From its action-adventure origins to its RPG evolution, Assassin's Creed has shown how the decisions we make now, no matter how big or small, can influence the events of the future. After both Assassin's Creed Odyssey and Assassin's Creed Valhalla shattered records, we find ourselves in that very moment where we know the decisions we're making for the franchise now will impact its future for years to come. Along with our announcement of new content coming for Assassin's Creed Valhalla, we wanted to share some key updates on the talented and creative minds that will now be working in a collaborative cross-studio structure between Ubisoft Montreal and Ubisoft Quebec that will guide, grow, evolve, and define the overall future of Assassin's Creed that includes an important upcoming early in development project codenamed Assassin's Creed Infinity. I'm going to stop there on their blog post because after that they then mainly just talk about what the new structuring is going to be like. I'm going to stop there and then I'm going to jump over to the Bloomberg report by Jason Schreier over here. Of course, Jason Schreier got the scoops. Where he has a tiny bit more information about what Infinity is. And he says here, it was this real brief part where he talks about it. He says that Infinity will contain multiple settings with room to expand to others in the months and years following its debut. So, Assassin's Creed Infinity is looking to end up being kind of like a live service game, a live service platform, I guess we can say. And in Jason's article here, he says that it's been inspired by games like Fortnite and GTA 5, that, you know, they keep people coming back over years by just adding new content and changing things. That's what Assassin's Creed Infinity looks to be as of right now. But as Jason also notes in his report, he says here that details are in flux because this is still years out from release. So what we're hearing now may not be what the final product ends up being. That being said, though, I'm just not on board with this announcement. I know Keiran and I have talked about on the show before about do we think like Assassin's Creed will have like a battle royale game at some point. We like pitched our ideas for it and everything, and we both came on the consensus of we won't be surprised if a battle royale game for Assassin's Creed happens at some point in time. It's Ubisoft's biggest franchise. It's the one that makes them the most money. Like that's one of the few franchises they have left that has yet to like join the free-to-play space or the live service space in some capacity. So it was only a matter of time before that happened. And then Assassin's Creed Infinity, from what things are sounding like, it's not a battle royale, but this live platform where, you know, we have more than one region. So, you know, we typically every game is just like, all right, this is set in Greek islands, this is set in Egypt, this is set in Paris and London. It sounds like we can get what this is. We'll have, you know, a setting. I'm just going to throw out names here. We'll have a setting in New York. Then we'll have a setting in Russia. Then we'll have a setting in Asia. But all in like the same game. It's all one platform for each of these. And they each will tell their own different stories. Maybe some will be longer than others. Maybe they'll all be long. Or maybe they'll all be short. Who knows what it'll be like. But this idea of expanding Assassin's Creed in this type of way, just blowing it up from what it currently is now, these just massive action RPGs that have just become so bloated with content that they're, at least for me personally, very just frustrating to play and boring and just not fun to play, to a live service game now that's just gonna be, just pumping out content all the time. It's disheartening. It's really disheartening, because I've been hoping that Assassin's Creed would go back to its roots, go back to the stealth action adventure roots, kind of ditch the action RPG stuff. See, it's getting out of hand. See that it's becoming unwieldy, and make things more tighter, more concise, not contained, but just bring it in, shrink down the scale, shrink down the size, go back to grassroots on this, and maybe take inspiration from Hitman's World of Assassination. If you want to kind of more so modernize it in a sense, and you have a couple different locations that you can go to, and each location you go to, you can you have multiple different ways of doing assassinations and stuff on your target. Maybe that's what Assassin's Creed Affinity is. Maybe it could end up having that as maybe some type of component for it. I don't know. I would love for Assassin's Creed to do that, to keep it, I guess, modernish in a sense, and up to date with the game, modern game landscape. Who knows? Because people, they shifted to this action RPG style of gameplay because people were getting tired of the original style of gameplay that they had, the classic AC style. People were, saying that it was repetitive, it was old, it was boring. They wanted something fresh and new from the series. And then we got Origins, which I liked that game. I did enjoy it. And then we got Odyssey, which I did not really enjoy. And now we have Valhalla, which I haven't played yet, but I hope I enjoy it. Dear God, I do. So I'm really torn on this. Right now, just hearing live service Assassin's Creed game doesn't really fill me with much hope. I'm fully expecting this to just be, Odyssey and Valhalla just on steroids, in a sense. Just, we're taking Assassin's Creed, we're doing what we're doing now, and we're just blowing it up across multiple different places. I'm possibly expecting that. I'm possibly expecting just, we're just live service now, and it's just just sucks the soul out of what Assassin's Creed was and used to be. Because I was really into Assassin's Creed in the past for the story. I really enjoyed the story. I liked the modern day story. The past story was cool, but the modern day, I was really on the hook. I was really hooked by it. And then it seemed like it kind of just basically became all but non-existent after 3. It was hints of it in 4. There was some hints of it, but after that, it's all right, yeah, we'll just kind of talk about it here and there, I guess. It's basically seemed irrelevant since 4. And I know that Origins on Odyssey, they brought in a new main character and they've done some stuff there. I hear Valhalla has done some stuff with the modern day that's actually kind of interesting, but I don't know. I've just become so what's the word? I don't want to say, there's a word I'm thinking of, but I've become so distanced from Assassin's Creed, the franchise. So what it was before and what it is now are so very different that I don't know if there's a place for me with it anymore. And it's sad, because I really did enjoy this franchise back in the day. So it becoming a live service doesn't really instill much hope in me. I do want to talk about the restructuring that Ubisoft is doing. As they said that in the blog post, they're now going to be doing a collaborative cross-studio structure between Ubisoft Montreal and Ubisoft Quebec. So I'm not going to read everything here, but this structure is going to be led by Mark Alexis Cote. I believe I pronounced his name right. Sorry if I didn't. He's going to serve. He will serve as executive producer of the Assassin's Creed franchise. He's one of the founding members of Ubisoft Quebec, and he started with the Assassin's Creed franchise with Brotherhood, and then was a creative director on Syndicate and was senior producer on Odyssey. And he's going to be joined by Ubisoft Montreal's Etienne Alonier, I believe. Again, I hope I pronounced it right. Pretty sure these are French names. I'm sorry, I've never taken French before. He's the brand director for Assassin's Creed for the last 10 years, and both their teams are going to be working together so that, as Ubisoft says, they're going to be working together to exceed the expectations of fans who have been asking for a more cohesive approach to its development over the past several years. So each team, the Quebec team and the Montreal team, although they have a collaborative new structure now, each team is still going to have their own leads in charge of their teams, and they'll just be working together hand in hand and all. So moving on down, I want to move down a bit to the last two paragraphs. I'm not going to read the entire last two paragraphs, but I'm going to read the entire one of this paragraphs and then a bit of the second one here. So they say here, this change means we're also evolving along with the video game industry. The pandemic and working from home have fundamentally changed the way we produce games, giving us a moment to reflect on our organization. Assassin's Creed was born within the walls of Ubisoft Montreal, and the studio built an incredible foundation for the franchise with the immense skill and creativity of its teams before Ubisoft Quebec then took the lead with Assassin's Creed Syndicate and Odyssey, demonstrating its ability to drive the franchise even further. Rather than continuing to pass the baton from game to game, we profoundly believe this is an opportunity for one of Ubisoft's most beloved franchises to evolve in a more integrated and collaborative manner that's less centered on studios and more focused on talent and leadership, no matter where they are within Ubisoft. I'm going to stop right there. I think this is definitely a very interesting change for the franchise. I wonder if this means that, the next game we get is going to be Infinity, and we're just not going to get any game until then, since they're now working hand in hand like this. I wonder if this means that, there'll be more time between Assassin's Creed releases. I mean, it looks like Infinity will be the next release, and, possibly just like we get Infinity, and then it is just Infinity for a very long time. I don't think we'll be getting like Assassin's Creed Infinity and then Assassin's Creed Eternity, and like 3 years after that. I think it'll be Assassin's Creed Infinity for the foreseeable future once that drops. But it makes me think we're not going to be getting another game prior to Infinity. It seems like after all, we got Valhalla and then the DLC for that, and then they'll just be cranking out DLC for that, this year, probably next year, and then who knows about 2023. 2023, we might not get anything for Assassin's Creed, and then 24 is when Infinity, whatever it ends up being, comes on out. So I hope that this allows them, I hope this allows the team to take care of themselves and not, crunch trying to get games out. They have more people to work with. They have more time to work on this big project, which is a huge project, admittedly. And that's, again, it's worrying. I want the series to scope down, not scope up, but they're scoping up. Important to note, though, as Jason Schreier points out here, this restructuring, while it seems good for the franchise, does not seem all that well liked or well received within Ubisoft, because some of the people that are in charge in leadership roles and everything are those who had allegations placed against them last year, after Ubisoft had a whole bunch of Me Too allegations come on out of people reporting abuse and harassment and so on and so forth. And Bloomberg asked them about this, and I'm looking for the quote right now. The spokeswoman for Ubisoft declined to comment on individual cases. I'm reading directly from Jason's article here. They said, quote, any employee that had allegations and remain at Ubisoft has had their case rigorously reviewed by a third party and were either exonerated or underwent appropriate disciplinary actions. Employees who have been under investigation would not remain at Ubisoft if results of investigations warranted termination, end quote. So, I mean, I don't know what to make of this. I would like to think that Ubisoft did the right thing, and that if the people who are in these leadership positions are ones who manage to be cleared of them in some way, shape, or form, I would like to think, that things were handled appropriately within Ubisoft, and that they are still there because things were handled appropriately, not because Ubisoft swept it under the rug and said, don't worry about it, you'll be fine, keep it going. That's what I would like to think. It seems like, though, these people didn't get punished the way they should have been. and they are still in these positions of power within the company and potentially still abusing and harassing employees. That's what it seems like. Which, if that is the case, that's not good at all in any way, shape, or form, and needs to be addressed immediately. So, I don't know. I think everything from this announcement, from the restructuring to what Infinity actually is, none of this is seeming good to me. I'm not really on board with any of these decisions in any way, shape, or form. I don't know. I feel like I'm just a broken record at this point. I just want the series to scope down. I want it to go back to what it was. I don't want it to be a live service game. I'm not like nothing against live service games. I'm just not that really interested in live service games. Fortnite's a cool game. It's fun and all like that. But I'm just not really all that interested in live service games. I'm just not. And Assassin's Creed becoming a live service game, it's definitely is not what I wanted for that franchise. It'd be different if Infinity was like a side project, not the main project. So like when me and Keiran were talking about the Battle Royale, that would have been a side project, not the main project. And it seems like the main project for Assassin's Creed is to become live service. And that's really disappointing and disheartening. Again, nothing that we know of now, as of now, is final. What we hear now about the game could be very different from when the game actually is announced and releases. And what we hear about it now, while it might sound bad, could actually end up being really cool when we actually see it and hear more about it and see final details and stuff. It's a matter of really we do need to wait and see what ends up becoming of Assassin's Creed Infinity. So that's where we are. That's where I am on this. It's an interesting time. Interesting time for Assassin's Creed, to say the least. And our final story of the week will be recapping the state of play that happened on Thursday. This state of play, Sony prefaced it by saying, hey, there will be no God of War sequel. There will be no Horizon. This is going to be focusing on updates on third-party and indie games. And there's going to be a 9-minute gameplay demo of Deathloop here. That's what you're getting, going with your proper expectations. So with that in mind, again, I was hoping for Final Fantasy 16 because it is third-party. But knowing what was going to be here, I really wasn't expecting it at all. So I was totally fine when this event happened and we didn't get it. I was like, okay, cool. And as for Deathloop, I really did not want to see more of Deathloop. As I've kind of talked about before, I've seen enough of that game. I've heard enough about that game. I'm tired of seeing it. Not because I think it's a bad game, but because we've seen it so much that I'm tired of seeing it. I didn't want to see it, but I was actually very happy that we saw it because what we saw was cool. I'll get to that in a moment. So I'm going to read from this Kotaku article by Ethan Gatch. That he has a nice little wrap up of everything here. I'm not going to read the article itself, but just using it as a reference point. So the state of play kicked off with the announcement of Moss Book 2, the sequel to the PSVR game. I never played the first one because I don't have PSVR, but I know that when the first one came out, it was actually really well liked. It was definitely one of the better received PSVR games when it first released. And I think people have been wanting a sequel. I'm not quite sure. But the fact that it is getting a sequel is a big deal. I think that's really huge. That is awesome that it's getting a sequel. They did only say PSVR. They didn't say anything about PSVR 2 or whatever the next one's going to be called. But I do wonder if this will be coming to the next gen PSVR when that gets like officially fully announced and revealed and stuff. But this game looks cool. It looks cute and everything. If I ever have a PSVR, I'll definitely play the first one and then this one because I've heard great things about the first one. So there was that. Kick it off with that. And then we got the announcement of Arcadegeddon, which is a kind of like a hero shooter roguelike type of game from Ilphonic, the makers of Predator's Hunting Grounds and Friday the 13th, the game. It is a really cool looking game. Like, it looks like it has a lot of style and a lot of flash and personality behind it. I was really into this during the presentation when they showed this off. It looked really fun, and it's in early access as of right now for PS5 only, I believe. I think is where the early access is going on. I think it's like $20 early access, because I went to go do it the other day, but then I got sidetracked from doing some other stuff. But I saw it's in early access on PS5 right now, so you can definitely go ahead and play it. I'm going to play it and give it a shot, try it out, see what I think of it. Maybe I was gonna say maybe I'll be able to talk about it on the show next week. I'm not going to, because I'm gonna be working on my Ratchet Clank review next week, so I'm not gonna have any time to play really anything next week. But it is coming to PS5 and PC in 2022 for a full release. So yes, this game looks super cool. Definitely check this one out. We then got some more from Tribes of Midgard. Basically, we just got a breakdown of what the first season's post-launch content is going to be. It comes out July 27th. I haven't really been interested in this game at all. I'm not sure why. Like, it seems like it'll be a fine game, but nothing about it is really drawing me in or pulling me in at all. To me, it looks kind of generic-ish. Unfortunately to me, but that's not to say the game is going to be bad. It just does not attract me at all in any way, shape, or form. But we got to quick look at that. Then we got the release date trailer for Fist, the side scroller where you are playing as the rabbit with the giant mechanical fist. I've seen stuff about this game before and kind of forgot all about it until it popped up here. I was like, oh shoot, it's that game. It seemed like it'll be fun. I don't know if I'll play it, but what we saw was cool. And we got a release date of September 7th for PS4 and PS5. That's when it's coming out. I'm pretty sure it's on other consoles too, but it'll be on both PS4 and PS5 when it comes out September 7th. That was pretty cool. Then we got the reveal of this Battle Royale game called Hunter's Arena Legends. And it's like a melee martial arts Battle Royale game where matches are like 30 people. 30-person matches in the free-for-all mode, and you're going up against each other, but in the world there are also demons that you can fight as well. So it's like PvE/PvP, and you like fight you beat the demons, and you get loot and stuff from them that you can use when you're going up against the actual people. It seems interesting. I'm intrigued by it. I definitely want to know more about it. They had different costumes that you can wear and all like that, and it was really weird because like the characters are wearing like fantasy type costumes and all, and then like some of the costume changes are like spandex like gym suits and stuff. And it's like, wait, what? Huh? What? Like when I did a reaction video that I recorded but didn't get to upload, like that happened. I was like, wait, what the heck is this? This is so weird. But it seems like it could be fun. Definitely need to see like more of it to actually feel like, get a better idea of whether or not I think it's gonna be good or not. Regardless, though, when it comes out in August for PS4 and PS5, it will be available for PlayStation Plus that month. So if you're a PlayStation Plus subscriber, you'll be able to try it out at no extra cost, which is cool. I think that's exactly what this game needs, to be honest, with the way it looked. Not saying it looked bad, it just looks like it's a game where you have to try it to actually understand, like, okay, understand like what you're going to feel about it, if it's good, if you like it or not. So PlayStation Plus for August, that's cool. I'm not sure if that means it's the PS5 exclusive game for August. It might be. If so, then I guess we can kind of say, like pour one out for Kena, Bridge of Spirits being the PS5 exclusive game for August. We'll see what happens though once we get that official announcement, later on this month. But yeah, that's coming. And there are also other modes. I think there was a free for all. Then there's the trios mode, where it's like you and a trio of people, the team is a trio going out and fighting people and stuff like that. It seems like it could be a fun game. Gotta learn more about it though. Then we got a trailer for Sifu, showed some more gameplay. This game looks awesome. It showed that they showed more like of the aging thing, so every time you die you age up again and stuff like that. I think it's like when you die you can respawn at the same spot you died at, but if you do that you age up. And if you choose not to respawn at that same spot, you get sent back to the beginning of the game at your original age. I think that's what it is. But they did say afterwards that there is an age limit, so you can't be like 150 still fighting, trying to, get your revenge. Like, once you hit a certain age, like, if you die, you get sent back to the start, at your very youngest age, which is interesting, which is cool. Unfortunately, the game has been delayed to next year. It's a shame, it sucks, but this game looks great. I'm all for game delays if it means that teams are not crunching and, just are able to put a game out without just stressing and overworking themselves. So I'll happily wait till next year for Sifu. Totally fine. Game looks awesome. We then got another look, some actual gameplay for Jet the Far Shore. This was first announced last year at the PlayStation 5 reveal event. And when we saw it, I was like, I don't really know what to make of it. This gameplay, it broke down more of showed more gameplay, but also kind of explained the story and everything. And I'm really into the story for this, trying to, find a new home for your people and exploring and everything like that. The world looks really cool. The story is really intriguing, but I need to know more about the gameplay for me on this one. The gameplay is what's kind of like keeping me away from it at a distance, and I need to know more. Once I see more gameplay, I have a better idea of how it plays and how it feels and all, then I'll know whether or not this game is for me. And I want it to be for me because I'm really into the story and the world and the vibe and atmosphere that this game is giving off right now. It hasn't been delayed. As of right now, it's still on track to come out later on this year for PS4 and PS5, so that's super cool. And then I think this surprised me the most. Demon Slayer, the Hinokami Chronicles. I'm not saying the full name here, but Demon Slayer, the Hinokami Chronicles got a trailer during this state of play. It appeared, and I wasn't expecting this, but it's cool. It basically just showed gameplay from, if you've seen the show or read the manga, it was just showing off missions from when they are in the house fighting the demon that flips everything around and stuff like that. It shows footage from that arc and all. I'm not one at all really for these type of anime games where it's just like basically a 3D arena fighter. I'm really not into them because they just all seem basic and generic and the same and kind of boring. I don't know what it was about this trailer, but this one made me say, I actually might want to play that. I don't know what it was, but it just did. But yeah, that appeared here. It made an appearance. Coming out October 15th for PS4 and PS5. Then we got a trailer for Lost Judgment, the sequel to Judgment, that is on PS Now, as of right now. We got a new trailer for that. Game looks really cool. It looks great. I never played the first Judgment, but I mean, I can look at this and tell, like, this looks like it's a great game. So it's going to be an amazing game. So I definitely want to play the first one now so that I can play this one. But I know that Judgment is set in the Yakuza universe, so I need to find out if, like, I should play all the Yakuza games first, like all the Yakuza games up to 7 before I play Judgment and then do it, because I don't know, but it looks really cool. I'm really into it. Let's see. I think we also got a release date with this as well. I believe it's coming out worldwide on September 24th. Worldwide launch. So that is awesome. Can't wait for that one. We also got the announcement of the PS5 version of Death Stranding called Death Stranding Director's Cut. Not the announcement, but I guess a bigger reveal of it, because it was first announced during Summer Game Fest opening like the kickoff live thingy. So we got like another trailer for it, showing off, it's gonna have new story missions, new combat stuff. It's gonna be like racing you can do in the game now. There's gonna be other things, like there was like a little robot buddy thing that could help carry stuff or carry you and walk you to your destination and all. It looks like it's doing a whole lot of new stuff. Cross save is supported, and there's a $10 upgrade from the PS4 version to the PS5 version. I did not play Death Stranding when it first came out. I was on the fence about it, but I just never got around to it. And in the time since then, I've thought about picking it up. Now that the director's cut is coming out, I think I'll wait for the director's cut to come out before I play Death Stranding. It does look really cool though. I'm all for the Kojima weirdness, really. I'm really interested in seeing like how it takes advantage of the haptic feedback and the adaptive triggers and all. Like, I can only imagine just how intense that's going to be, like how it's going to feel. It's going to make it even more of a arduous experience, to say the least, I'm very sure. So that's coming. And then it finally ended with the 9 minutes of gameplay from Deathloop. And like I said, I did not want to see more of this game. I'm tired of seeing this game, to be honest. Even though I did like seeing this 9 minutes of gameplay, I didn't need to see this at all. I could have done without seeing it. That being said, though, this game looks great. This game looks really, really fun. I think this gameplay demo here was the one that I needed to get me to make me like okay with seeing more of the game, because like in the past we've seen like, you know, really stylish trailers, really cool trailers, action, quick cuts and all like that. And this was just like, hey, this is a mission. This is how it goes. And seeing it done like this, it was really nice. Even though we've kind of seen this in the past with some missions, kind of like how it goes down. Like this was just like raw gameplay, and it was really cool. And then we got snippets of the banter between Colt, your character, and Juliana, the assassin who could be coming after you. Like, he's just going to the level and they just like snippet at each other the entire time, and I'm just like, I'm all into their dialogue and their banter and the relationship that they have. It's really interesting. It's really cool. And then just seeing the way the missions played out, the abilities that you had at your disposal, how they were used and all. It was very cool, very exciting. I am all in on Deathloop when it comes out. I just can't wait for this game. I've been in on it from day one, from when it was first announced, and this made me even more in on it. I'm 100% playing this when it comes out. So, sorry, Death Stranding, you're not getting played the September 24th, because Deathloop comes out shortly before, I think like the 21st or the 14th, something like that. It doesn't come out too long before Deathloop. So, I mean, it doesn't come out too long. You get what I mean. Deathloop will come out too long before Death Stranding. So, Deathloop is the game for September for sure. And that was it. That was the state of play. Like, overall, was it a groundbreaking state of play? No, by all means it was not. It was as good as I expected it to be, given the expectations that were set. Updates on third-party games. There were some indies there. Deathloop was there. Everything looked pretty cool. Even if there were some things where I was like, okay, I guess. Like Tribes of Midgard, alright, fine. Hunter Arena Legends, whatever that one's called, I was like, okay, fine, I guess. You know, while they might have been fine announcements, there was other cool stuff in here. I was like, you know what, this is cool. This is a fine update, and nothing like overstated its welcome either, which is important. 30 minutes long, kind of it went by like that, which is cool. It was fine. So overall, if I was to grade it, like letter grades and all, give it a I'm thinking torn between like a B and a B minus. No, I'm just gonna say a solid B. I'm not gonna do like the minus or pluses for this. I'm gonna say a solid B. It was a fine show, nothing groundbreaking, but there was some cool stuff here. So that was a state of play recap. I saw some people saying, man, was this like Sony's big summer event? This was not Sony's big summer event. I don't know when it will be. I imagine if there is going to be a big summer event for Sony, which we will be something else from them this summer, when they had said, you know, in their blog post that there's not going to be any God of War or Horizon in this event, they did say stay tuned for additional stuff. We got some additional stuff coming on later on this summer, so look out for that. I imagine, I don't know if it'll be a state of play or a big showcase like they did last year for the PS5 and all, but we'll probably get something, I'll say in August. I'm not going to say July this month, because I think they're going to let some time sit between this and the next one. So I think the next one, if it's not Gamescom, it'll be sometime maybe middle of August or beginning of August. I don't know. I think August, though, is when we'll get the next Sony event, whether it be another state of play that just shows off bigger games, or like an actual full-blown showcase of the games. Who knows what it'll be, but I think August is the month for that. I think that's when we'll get it. So yeah, state of play recap. It was pretty cool. Not too bad. Not amazing, but nice. Pretty cool. And our final story actually no, there are no more stories. That was the final story. We're going to wrap this episode up with what I've been playing. All I played after the last episode was Ratchet & Clank Rift Apart. I finished Ratchet & Clank Rift Apart. I really, really enjoyed that game. It was so much fun. I will say it took me about 11 hours to finish the game. And I know when I said last time when I was in the last episode, I was like, it feels like it's kind of short. At the time, I thought, like, it seemed like I was, like, about to round the corner on the end of the game. Like, it seemed like I was just about to be at the end of the game within an hour or two. That's what it seemed. That was just kind of like the vibes I got. It seemed like things were, like, picking up super fast. But, no, I still had plenty of time to go. I think at that point I was at, like, 5 or 6 hours in. So, yeah, I definitely just, like, underestimated how much more I had to go and, like, how much progress actually was left in the story. It took me about 11 hours to finish the story, which I think is actually about par for the course for a Ratchet Clank game. I don't remember how long 2016's Ratchet Clank was, or Going Commando. But Going Commando I definitely played way more. And I think Going Commando is in line with like 11 hours. So I think this might be par of the course for a Ratchet & Clank game. All that being said, I did really enjoy it. I had a great time with it. The story wrapped up in a really nice way. It was a really great story as well. Again, I'm not going to get too in-depth because I am going to do my full review on it. And I'm sure I want to talk to Keiran about it some more as well. Because I haven't talked to him about it at all. But the story was definitely like it was Ratchet & Clank at its core. It still had the humor and the lightheartedness of the Ratchet & Clank games that I remember, but it had so much more heart to it, and it was so much more mature. Like it grew up, but didn't lose sight of what it was, and that at Ratchet & Clank at its core, it's a fun, lighthearted adventure, about these two guys trying to save the galaxy, trying to save the universe. And it never lost sight of that. It didn't become, it's not, when I say it grew up, became more mature, it's not like, we're some of a gritty story or anything. No, it's just, things are just handled, it's not just all jokiness and lightheartedness and just funny all the time. Like, there's serious emotional stuff going on here. There's real emotional weight behind the story and everything like that, and the characters and the arcs they go through, which I don't recall. I'm pretty sure there was nothing like that in Going Commando. 2016's Ratchet & Clank, I only played it once. It's a remake of the first game, so I don't think there was really like anything like that in that either. But this one, it was such a great story. I really enjoyed it. Gameplay was fun too. And I've been replaying it now with the doing the challenge mode. When you finish the game, you can do challenge mode, which is basically New Game Plus. You bring over most of your collectibles, but all your weapons and armor and upgrades that you had at the end of your main playthrough. And you're able to get like Omega versions of your weapons. So basically, there's a level cap of 5 for all the weapons in base playthrough. Challenge mode ups that level cap to 10. So you purchase the Omega version and you can level it up to 10, making it more powerful and getting more upgrades and stuff. So I've been doing that, and I've been doing that on Ray Tracing Performance mode. I played originally in just the 4K Fidelity mode. I'm doing this in the RT Performance mode, and woof, it still looks so good. It plays really well, and yeah, that's been my time with Ratchet & Clank, just kind of been doing that. So the goal is to hopefully have the review up this coming Friday. I have a plan in mind to try and make that work, but if not, I will have a different video out on Friday, and the Ratchet & Clank review will come out next week. So we'll make it work. Of course, follow the Twitter for updates on it. We'll post there, that way you can know what's going to happen and all like that, so on and so forth. With all that being said, though, that will wrap up episode 15 of the Play to Win podcast. I hope you enjoyed it. It's the second week of me just hosting here by myself. This was a shorter episode than last week. We're only an hour and 9 minutes in, so this will probably clock in about an hour or 10 hour 11 once I'm done with all the closing stuff. But yes, hope you enjoyed this episode. Hope we had some interesting stories here. The conversations weren't able to be as juicy because Keiran was not here. I would have loved to hear his thoughts on these things, have back and forth conversation about them. But regardless, we will talk about all these things in detail with him when we do. Again, send him, all the best wishes, wish for the speedy recovery and all that jazz. So hopefully he can be here with us next week. Remember to subscribe to us on YouTube, turn on notifications on YouTube, like, comment, all that stuff. Please, thank you very much. Share the video, share the show with anybody and everybody that you think would enjoy it. It is very much greatly appreciated. Same goes for podcast services, review, download, subscribe, comment, all that stuff. Do all the things on all the services and share it with everybody. It is very much appreciated. Follow us on Twitter and Instagram as well at Play2Win-Game. And again, like I said before, for updates on anything and everything that we're doing over here. That way you know if the show, something's going to be delayed, if something will be out, or something's going to be moved around, so on and so forth. Follow us on social medias for all those updates. Also, follow our personal accounts. Keiran's is at Badlynet, BADLYNET, all one word. That is his handle on everything. So Twitter, Twitch, Instagram, so on and so forth. Everywhere. Follow him everywhere on the internet for anything that he posts. And you can follow me over on Twitter at Tyler Miller 2496, where I like and retweet cool and funny things. Lately, I've been liking and retweeting a lot of Persona 5 art that I've been seeing because I've just been in a Persona 5 mood. But also on my personal account, sometimes I'll tweet about like things I'm working on for the podcast and all like that. So follow me over there. Follow me over there as well. With all that being said, thank you once again very much for watching and listening. I hope you enjoyed this episode, and I will speak to you all next week. Have a good one.